Okay, we're going to go ahead and call the. Okay, we're going to go ahead and call the work session to order. 7 o'clock. All right, comprehensive plan presentation by Shockey Consulting Services.
So I'll just introduce you guys. This is DJ and Aaron with Shockey. Maddie Hughes, who is our project manager, is out of town, and so they graciously stepped in to take her place, and I'll let them begin.
Thank you, everybody. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Team this tonight, so you'll be kind of playing musical chair with the mic. But on the screen, which you all already pulled up, we'd like you to take a few minutes to fill out some of these questions. It's okay for you to be doing it while we're presenting. We're going to talk about it later on in the evening, and it's a chance for you to share some of your opinions and feedback that's really going to help us inform our approach. If you don't finish, we will take a little pause before we get to the more analysis part of our presentation for you to complete that. So feel free to kind of plug away on it as we talk, but there'll also be a chance for you to finish it up. All right, so here we are at the Planning Commission workshop. Tonight we're going to just do an overview of the comprehensive plan purpose and process, give you a feel for how we as Shockey approach these large projects, talk about community engagement, the why and the how, do some visioning with you all to hear what's your hope for the plan, what's your vision for the community. A SWOT analysis is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That's what we're going to look at your responses to this survey, go into future thinking and trends, and then we'll wrap up with questions and next steps. The team working on this project, so Maddie Hughes is your primary project contact. I'm Erin Wynn, work primarily with financial impact and different types of government relations. DJ, you met our urban planner and real estate consultant, and Sheila, who's the principal of the project and the founder of the company. So you'll be interfacing with all of us at some point throughout this project, but primarily Maddie, who wishes she could be here tonight. Okay, so a comprehensive plan is designed to be a 20-year vision that really sets the framework for how Spring Hill will grow and develop. It provides a roadmap for the governing bodies and the Planning Commission to make decisions, and I think just as importantly, provides your city staff with tools for implementation, because we want a plan at the end of this that is not only ambitious and casts a strong vision, but gives the staff and the community the tools to make those visions a reality. We want to involve and energize the community to really embrace the plan and the goals, and to build support for what's going to be needed for implementation. The hope for this plan is that it will establish that shared community vision for quality of life, land use, future growth aspirations, and recommend sustainable land use policies and tangible strategies for these future growth projects based on what we're seeing in our projections. We want to chart a clear course with action steps that are adaptable to things that arise in the future. We want to make sure that we're adhering and aligning to your existing policies and goals, and ensure cohesion with what the city and community has already done with strategic planning. There's going to be overlap in some of these recommendations. Be adoptable. We want it to be a plan that you feel good adopting for your community, and that's also implementable, that can get done. You'll have this for your reference. I'm not going to read it because it's a lot of text, but yes.
Was it just one question
Just one question?
on the?
Oh, good question.
Two, wasn't there?
Click.
Two.
Well, I hit some, I was like, do I hit submit, and then it said next question, and I'm just kind of stuck with where it says instructions.
Interesting. Does anyone else have that problem?
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm at instructions.
Let's pull it up and look at it. It shouldn't do that. I'm glad you stopped us.
Let's see.
Or is it because we're all hitting it at the same time?
Nah, it shouldn't be an issue.
It shouldn't be that finicky.
I'm sorry.
No, don't
No
apologize.
worries, yeah.
This is.
I'm glad we caught
Yeah,
it.
seriously.
Okay. Looks like it's going. go.
Did you get 2, Troy?
I haven't got there yet. I was still working on the first one. I'm slow.
That's okay.
Steve's here now. We can get started.
That's right.
Okay.
It just means that you're not part of the ball.
Steve is here. It's gonna start working.
That's
now.
right.
Right. I believe so.
Oh, wow. Do you mind it?
What, the girls?
Real
Oh, George.
walking a quick trip from our house.
Oh boy.
So we thought you was missing one. They were looking for it.
Popular reaction.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah.
Not sure.
I'm not either.
Sorry.
For the
Save,
No,
export,
there's a-
download now. It should still be going.
QR code that you,
Questions not enabled.
but we all got.
Wait, no, that wouldn't be it.
some
Just
of us
one
got to a
word?
spot where we can't get any.
I did like 2.
I was gonna say, I'm having a hard time coming up with one word for that.
That one.
No, it was on a screen.
Right there.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, let's have Steve give it a try and see if it'll work for him.
Oh, I think I fixed it.
Okay.
It was on presenter pace. It needs to be on
Audio.
audience pace. So let's
Okay.
try to reload it and see if that works.
Okay, let me scan that quick, if you don't mind.
Too slow.
Oh, I got
It's
it.
coming back. You got
Sorry.
They're just messing with you.
Yeah, just keeping you on your toes. Let's see if it's letting you advance now.
Yeah.
And hit next.
That's not letting me in there.
Mine went through.
Any luck?
Oh, maybe that one.
It's working. Okay, good.
Till Cindy breaks it again, but yeah.
Oh, but there was one before that.
Something before.
Yeah, he has this question.
Oh, maybe I skipped it.
That's okay. You can start there.
Can you go back?
Well, maybe it'll give it to you after you do that one.
I think that is the first question.
Oh, well, I didn't get that one.
You didn't get what you were hoping to learn from the plan?
Not first, I got to list the 5 things or 6.
One
Yeah,
word,
that's what we
one
got.
word to describe
Yeah,
what you
one
want.
one word to describe was the first one I got.
Okay. Well, you know what? Just start for there, and we're gonna go through all of the
Okay.
questions at the end. And if you have something that you want to add that's not already been said,
Okay. No, no problem.
I love technology. So while you're all filling that out, I'll kind of briefly highlight the Shockey process, but feel free to continue working on the questions. This lays out the roadmap for how we approach comprehensive planning. So we start with the vision, which is part of what we're going to be discussing tonight. And then we use the vision to craft goals and strategies, getting more and more specific from lofty, vivid, ambitious vision to what are the actual policies, measures, objectives that will get us there. So what this looks like for a community is right now we are in phase 1 and 2 and a little bit of 3. So we are developing the story. We're learning about the community. We're talking to community stakeholders, reviewing all of your existing plans, developing our databases. We're also in the working with community engagement to build consensus. So we'll get into this a little bit later, but the survey launched and the comprehensive plan website launched this week. We've already had about 91 survey responses from folks in the community, which is really, really incredible. So then as we move forward with that, we'll be crafting the plan and adopting the plan. So right now, they're not, as you'll see actually at the next slide, and this is also, you have a hard copy of this because it is dense. This process diagram underneath your agenda, you should have gotten one. This outlines every phase from launch all the way to adoption, what actions are associated with that, and what stakeholders are involved. So it's dense, but as you can see on the left-hand side, you see project management team, city leadership, steering committee, focus groups, and community events. And then across, horizontally, you see what actions those different groups are involved in. So as the project management team, we meet every 2 weeks. right now, you see we're at the Planning Commission meeting 1. Our first community event is on June 3rd, the pop-up at the Fishing Derby. So this is yours to keep and kind of refer to. Obviously, as we go along, if we need to shift things, we will. This is not set in stone. It can be a working, livable document, but this is the way we make sure as a team that everything we're doing builds on everything else and that we are on the same page, making sure that we are consistent and aligned with the work that we're producing for you all and the work that we're engaging the community on. Is there any question or reflection, on this or what we've talked about so far that anyone would like to share before we go on? Okay. So as we dive in more to the content of the comprehensive plan, these are the subtopics. So we talk about community identity, a healthy and safe community, livable built environment, harmony with nature, resilient economy, and land use and community design. So these are the areas that we'll really be diving into with elected officials, city staff, and community members to make sure that we capture the desires of the community and how they want to grow in these areas. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pull up responses from this first question so we can hear from you all what you're hoping to learn from this plan.
Hey, did everyone get an opportunity to answer this question? What are we hoping to learn from the
Oh, I
plan?
was still thinking.
I was gonna say,
No,
Okay.
I'm turning off my Wi-Fi.
Okay.
It's just kind of.
so when you say from the plan, from like the comprehensive plan?
Yes.
Okay.
What are you hoping to learn as the result of completing your comprehensive plan?
Okay.
I like that one. How can we create better connectivity throughout the community? That's great. New ideas, different ways. I'll reload this and. For everyone that hasn't had an opportunity to submit your question, if you want, we could write it down.
Yeah.
If it's not working online.
And I just, the
This is
first
the one I
one.
Submit
did,
it?
but now I'm not gonna remember what I
Okay.
put.
We'll get to it. I'll reload these questions. There we go. We got 4 more or 2 more.
Real.
2, 3, 4. Got 1 more. Does everyone see their answer up there?
Yeah.
Saffron Steve? Okay, so we're good. Okay. How Shockey and PC view future land use and growth? Does anyone want to speak to any of their answers?
I'll do the connectivity one. So I've always been, my background is I'm a landscape architect, so I work a lot with this sort of stuff as well, and just create better connectivity amongst our community, shops, make it more walkable. I feel like we're very segregated in our communities. We're very neighborhoods. Like
Yes.
there's not a lot of interaction in between us. So to create that just like wholeness, just really so our neighborhoods just can kind of be more blended, I guess, if you will.
Okay.
Kind of like the old school neighborhoods were on grids, and now like new development patterns, right, are subdivisions. So you're just like divided amongst each other.
Yes.
So I like to develop more of that connectivity within the community.
Okay.
I just put ditto.
Right.
Anyone else wanna share their answer and as to why? Excuse me. No.
Was
Good.
anything surprising that you're seeing up there?
You know, I'm curious too to see how our community does react to this process as well. Like getting their views and how they prioritize it. I think we all could sit up here and name what everyone's soapbox agenda is up here, but like to hear the communities and put them in front and their thoughts on paper. I think that would be interesting.
I ditto that, cause that's exactly my answer to the second question.
Yeah.
That's great.
How does the community envision?
Right.
hearing from us?
That's similar to what I said as well.
All right. If no one else has any more questions or comments, I'll move on to the next slide. There we go. Community engagement. With community engagement, the question always comes up is why is public participation so essential? For one, just gaining better understanding of the community needs and aspirations is going to be there. Diverse perspectives to empower decision making. Community engagement increases transparency. I'm sure you all probably gotten in the past. I haven't heard of this project or program or this road closure, so having that transparency definitely helps. Ensures that all options have been considered. Creates a greater sense of community and ownership. Cindy, you agree with that?
No, I just, I entered this one 3
Technology.
times now, it keeps not letting me do it, so.
Okay.
Gosh.
But you don't disagree with it, do you? So
No, I'm
saying
not,
no,
I'm
that's,
breaking out.
Okay.
no, I
Yeah.
agree.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
No is the right way.
And probably what that looks like with creating a greater sense of community and ownership. I'm sure with you all being here, knowing that you had a hand in a project that happened in the city, it creates that sense of ownership and community. Helps your initiative to run smoothly. So just all around being open, it goes back to being transparent as well. That definitely allows the process to go a little smoother. Levels of participation, informing, and what that looks like from the city's perspective is passing out information, administering information, distributing it online or through blast emails. Consult is gathering that information through surveys, participation from citizens, and then involving those citizens with those decision making. And lastly is being collaborative. What that might look like is some of the community engagement events that we'll do in the future. And a few examples of all of these would include, for Inform, social media, newsletters, email blasts. On the consulting end, that's probably where we come in with doing surveys, comment cards, public meetings, and involving different groups, card sorting, visioning workshops, and then lastly, collaborate stakeholder meetings, stakeholding, steering committees, and elected officials, which is you all. On the community engagement goals, things that we want to do with this comprehensive plan is involve the community by working directly with them throughout the process to ensure that concerns and aspirations are consistently understood and considered and provide a wide range of engagement opportunities. And this might be repetitive, just very similar to the different ways that we're going to engage on the previous slides, but inform the community by providing balanced and objectives information to better understand the problems, alternatives, opportunities, and solutions. Consult the community by obtaining feedback, analysis, alternatives, and decisions to demonstrate that community input has influenced the decision making and planning priorities. And lastly, build upon partnerships with other agencies and stakeholders, recognizing the effect this effort has on the community that has complements other community initiatives.
DJ, do you mind if I talk about steering committee really quickly?
Absolutely.
Because this is a major component of how Shockey typically does comprehensive plan updates, but it can be kind of confusing, so I wanted to explain. The goal of the steering committee is to bring together all stakeholders or interest groups in your community. So think about representatives from a school board, a chamber of commerce, citizens groups, any group that really has a presence in your community, in addition to residents from different demographics, different age groups, different ability levels, different, income levels, getting folks with diverse perspectives in the same room. They will be the ones who we as consultants kind of come to say, here's what we're learning from the community. Does this resonate with you? Like here's what we're seeing. Here are some ideas for how to actually make these visions possible. What are your perspectives on that? And then when we come to planning commission and city council, we can say, hey, here's what we've gotten from the community. Here's our survey results. Here's your steering committee. That's a pretty representative slice of your city. Here's what they have to say. It really kind of gives some weight and some depth of perspective to the recommendations that we will bring to the governing body. They're not going to be like signing off on any decisions, but they get to kind of be the sounding board of the vision and the action steps that we're co-creating with city staff, city council, planning commission. It's a more kind of organized, cohesive way to get community involvement.
What's a good number?
So right now, I'm actually on the steering committee for the Overland Park comp plan. We have 20. So it's something that we're talking about with city staff. It's not set in stone, and essentially it's less about hitting a certain number and more about making sure that all stakeholders are represented. Yeah.
How do you select the steering?
So typically, folks can apply, and then in the past, we've had a mayor select or planning commission chair select in conjunction with city staff. There's different ways we can do that. And I think you can have folks apply. You can also reach out to folks. You say, hey, I know somebody at the school district who would be really good for this effort, right? We source it from you, from your networks, from city staff. There's lots of different ways we can go about it. So open absolutely to suggestions or preferences on how you all would see that going. Any other questions on steering committee?
All right, I'll keep going. Key messages and objectives. The comprehensive plan will be conscious of changes within the community. Typically, when we have done comprehensive plans, you go through and do an update if there's been a major change. Typically want to review those plans every 5 years moving forward. The comprehensive plan will help inform the city's mission, the city's future mission statement as well. So as Spring Hill continues to grow and change, that comprehensive plan will continue to evolve and change with the city, supporting its future. Comprehensive plan will be shaped by residents' input and will support priorities expressed by the community. So similar to what Aaron said, just steering committees being there to help voice what they see in the community and what they would like to see in the future. The comprehensive plan will be data-driven and action-oriented with measurable goals and strategies. We'll come up with those goals and strategies along the way with you all. The comprehensive plan will offer clear directions and alignment opportunities to city staff and elected officials on programs, services, and initiatives to emphasize over the next 20 years. So as I mentioned before, it's a long process, but along the way, things might change, things can evolve, and we'll be right there to assist with those changes as we move along. And city leadership and staff on the right-hand side of this, you'll see the city leadership and staff, Spring Hill community as well. And below you'll see some of those supporting tools, which is engagement stations, promotion materials, city social media, city webpage, city newsletters, press press releases, community snapshot, and then on the right-hand side, you'll see community input will shape community vision, issue identification, plan recommendations, as well as strategy prioritization. And the snapshot is something that we could also assist with. Has anyone seen the new website by chance?
The survey that went out,
Yeah,
I saw that. Yeah.
survey and then comprehensive plan website as well. Cool.
Yeah, so I can kind of touch on this part. The survey and website launched this week. We've got 91 respondents so far, which is great. So I wanted to kind of let you know the plan for how we're going to monitor and keep collecting that data. So the first community survey is broad, it's vision, right? Like, what do you want Spring Hill to be? What are your dreams for Spring Hill? The next round of surveys will be released on July 1st, and that's issue identification. So as we talk about healthy and livable community, resilient economy, we want folks to share their perspective on what within those buckets are issues that they see in the community, because that will help inform the actions that we look into and recommend.
What's the cutoff date?
So the first survey closes on June 16th. So our first data pull is going to be May 26th, and then we'll pull it again June 9th. And then after the survey closes, we will do our final poll, and we will keep, we meet with Amy every 2 weeks. So we will keep the city updated every time we meet on here's what we're seeing, here's the trends we're seeing. We won't do the full report of responses until it officially closes, but we will keep you all in the loop of what we're seeing and ask for any assistance in getting it out there more. Any questions on surveys?
On this one, I did call Pat and made a couple comments.
Yeah.
On the phone, some of the writing is so small, tap it and expand it.
Okay, so maybe we can look into how do we make it more mobile friendly.
It's, and I can't read it.
Got it.
There's some of that stuff that I still don't know what it says,
Okay,
because I didn't go to a
computer. Yeah,
computer to do anything, I just am on the mobile. You can't tap it and expand it.
okay, that's really good feedback. We will look at that.
And I thought we had decided at this level, at the planning commission level, that we wanted it to where they had to submit an address. And you can answer that entire survey without submitting an address, so that we could divide out where the responses were coming from. So you can submit the survey without an address.
That's correct. So right now the address field is optional. I will say that we've had 90% of the folks supply their address. So we'll map out where responses are coming from. And we can definitely talk about making address a required field for the next 2 surveys. I will tell you that what we've seen is that it's when it's required,
They don't do it.
so it's such a push and pull, right? There are pros and cons. However, we have the ability to do it. And so if that's something that you all feel really strongly about, we can absolutely talk about incorporating that for the next 2.
Could you put like, if they don't wanna put their address, maybe their street or subdivision or something that kinda gives up, like a, yeah.
Yeah,
What about just a checkbox if they live in Spring Hill or not? That way people don't feel like their privacy is getting taken. Is that what you guys are trying to filter
Well,
into account?
even if it's,
Okay, are they in Miami County, Johnson County?
Mhm.
What part of the city are they in? It's a big difference.
Yeah, so I guess what's the goal for you guys in wanting addresses? Is it what part of the city are they in, so we're seeing
Right,
what
I
part
mean,
of the
are
city
we-
wants what, or is it city versus rural, or
both,
Kind of all
because,
that.
I mean, are we getting most of our input from all of the new neighborhoods? Are we getting a lot of our input from
more
Old
established.
Spring Hill that says, you guys have gotta get us sidewalks? Are we,
Yeah,
or is it all of the new neighborhoods that are saying, we're content, we're happy because we're all the way up north and we can get all of the things that we need? I mean,
yeah,
I just would like to know the diversity of the people and where it's coming from.
for sure. So what I propose then is, because we're getting a lot of that information right now, the way we pull it is we'll show you on a map. Like, here's where the respondents are clustered. So maybe we can do that for the survey 1 results. And then if that doesn't satisfy what I think you're looking for, we could talk about all right, how do we require some sort of demographic information without making people hesitant to actually complete the survey? Because you'll
Right, and I
see.
wanted to not want to complete the survey.
Right.
But I also, and they can, I mean, they could put in any address they wanted to, that's the
Right,
other, I mean,
right.
that's the other piece of it, but if we don't have some good feedback as to where that information's coming from, we don't know how to go out and help. You
No, I know.
Where do we build, or where do we need, or what do we need, and who's really telling us this is what we need? I mean,
And on the back end, what we'll be able to do is kind of correlate clumps of respondents to themes in responses, if that makes
Okay,
sense.
yes.
So without saying, hey, this address said this and this address said this, we can, if they provide the address, which most of them have, do some of that analysis to see what are the trends from this section of the community versus this section of the
And I'm not
community.
worried about the specific address.
Right.
I'm worried about, is it Miami County, Johnson County?
Yeah.
Is it city, is it Old Town, is it New Town, is it?
I get it.
You know,
You want to make sure that you're being responsive to the community needs, but you also understand how the needs might differ
right,
from one area to the other. I think how we do this will meet that, but what we should do is just plan to check in after the survey one closes and we give our report of like, here's what the results say, here's the trends we're seeing. Maybe we can talk about how we best share that with the planning commission to see, does this get at what you want, or do we need to adjust our methodology for the next survey, which we can do.
yes, I mean, if the new areas that have got some nice walking trails.
Right.
Say, no, we don't need walking trails, but Old Town's saying, we have no sidewalks to walk on, we
Right.
have no place to walk. Well, I mean, okay, so then, yeah, we really need to focus down.
Yes.
Those are the type of things that I would be more curious about, and how to help, and where we need to go in and focus and say, especially if we're gonna start going back and attaching this to the CIP.
So I think what's really interesting is when we look at who's responding, right? So if we see that the bulk of our responses are from Newtown or Old Town, that tells us as a project management team, we have to get the word out more. We need to target folks in these older neighborhoods or in these newer neighborhoods. So what does that look like? Does it look like going door to door? Does it look like targeted mailers? Like that's how we look at the breakdown of demographic responses to adjust our engagement, because you want to hear from everybody.
Right.
And we have some ways to make sure, and obviously you only can do what you can do. You can't force, but we can target. And doing the demographic breakdown and talking to city staff and saying, hey, this is the trend we're seeing in these responses. Does that match with what your overall take of the community need is? If it doesn't, where do we need to seek out more input? Whose voice is not being heard? And that's another reason, right, for these representative steering committees, because obviously one person's opinion, we're not going to claim that represents an entire neighborhood, but hopefully that's a pulse check. So we give the results to the steering committee too and say, hey, this area of the city is responding that X, Y, and Z are the biggest needs. Does that resonate with you? And we bring all of that together to the elected officials to see, does that resonate with you? Does this match what you're hearing from your constituents? So it's delicate, absolutely. And I think it's, what I hear you saying is, how do we really address everyone's needs and understand where they're coming from and how to best meet them while still respecting their privacy? And like, how do you maintain a big holistic picture while also drilling down on specific needs and areas? And it's tough, but I feel pretty confident that the methodology that we use for these surveys and engagement will at least get us close to that, and then we can tweak as we go.
Or maybe it's just easy as wordage, you know.
Yeah.
This is not required, but it helps us, you know, just like in the bottom of it, it helps us target what areas, you know, something, I don't know.
I like that idea, like explaining why we're asking for
Right.
it.
Yeah,
Like-
not that we're trying to, we don't need to know exactly where you
Yeah.
live, but this is why we are asking for it, so we know where you guys are coming from, just like what Cindy said. I think it's, a lot of people respond better to it if there's more info
Sure.
given, and this is the reason why we're asking, not because we know that Amy said something, you
Right.
know, and
Right.
this is her answer. So I don't
That's
know
a
if
great
there's
idea.
verbiage
Let us
change
take
things.
that back, all of this back, and talk to legal about it and our project management team to see what recommendations they have to get the information without,
Yeah, 'cause I mean,
scaring
we're not
folks
gonna
away.
use it
No.
for anything
Right.
else other than, you know, what we're
right,
looking for, but
Yeah.
just so they don't think we're just that,
asking to ask.
you know, just because, why not?
Right, right. No, that's really good feedback. Any other questions on surveys? Okay. So in addition to surveys, steering committee, we want to get out and meet people where they are rather than just asking them to go out of their way to fill out surveys and different engagement efforts. So far the plan is a pop-up event at the fishing derby and at the luau and something in August, TBD. And these are the rest of the plans for both in-person and online events.
Back to school night.
That's a great idea. Yeah. I think that's exactly the benefit of having diverse voices in the room. Like if we talk to someone from the school district and the steering committee, hey, can you get us a table at back to school tonight, you know, or somebody in a little sports league, or regardless, you know, of where you are, if you have all those folks that meeting regularly for the purpose of advancing this plan, you get creative ideas. I love it.
During the summer, we have a lot of baseball games and stuff,
Yeah.
where there's a big congregation of people.
Yeah. Do a little pop-up meeting.
Yeah, I talked about that today with coworkers going to the complex.
Yeah, I love it because folks are already there. Maybe you bring some cold, like lemonade or whatever, and lure 'em in. And I think ultimately, you all are the cheerleaders and the advocates. So the success of this effort and this engagement is really dependent on you and your networks and your friends and your families. And when we're at meetings like this, or when you are passing by a pop-up event, or you get a survey, if you can share it, right? If you can post it, tag it, just spread the word so that folks know more how to get involved with the process. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to DJ, and we'll keep kind of working with your responses to the questions on your phone. And if you didn't get to them, no big deal. We can talk about them in real time.
All right. So, what are the most exciting? What are you most excited about to learn from your community? Was this question? I don't want to skip. Okay, what do we got? Were there primary concerns in how they prioritize land use moving forward? What everyone envisions about future new development. Non-negative comments, other things than streets and new council. What the community wants to become.
We have to comprehend that.
What the community wants to become as a group. Does anyone want to share their answers? Or surprised by any other answers that are up there?
I want to know what the community wants to become, because as a group, you want to become something. People have a vision for becoming something. As your neighbors, you talk to your neighbor and say, well, what do we want our neighborhood to look like? Well, what do we want our community to look like? That's
We
what
want small town Spring Hill.
do we?
Well, that's what they all say.
Well, that's what we're here to find out.
We want small town Spring Hill. Well, we're past that.
But then they
I
want
mean,
all
we're
the
past
food
that.
chains and stores and all that too.
So how can you get Small Town Spring Hill if you want all the fast food chains and all the other things that go along with it? Because those are not
Small town.
right.
That's right.
I put where their primary concerns and how they prioritize land use moving forward, because I want to hear from the community where they would locate multifamily, because every time it's proposed to us, it's in the wrong spot,
It's not my neighborhood.
right? So I'm really curious to hear from the community where a good spot for multifamily would be.
And that's why my answer there, what everyone envisions about future new
And-
development.
Yeah, and that's with all general zoning, not just multifamily, but
Right.
it's always like, we don't want that here, we don't want that here. It's like, well, where should we put
Well,
it
and the
at?
public's been very reactionary
Yes.
rather than proactive, and so it's, unfortunately, they come in not knowing anything. This is gonna really help them, education on if they participate, this is gonna really help them in the understanding of the process of this and
So-
how difficult it can be.
So
to
therefore,
appease
mine's the
the
non-negative, because that's all we're getting.
Yeah.
If you go
Well,
out
yeah.
and you read the Facebook comments,
Well,
that's what we've already gotten, is the negative comments back, because they don't already understand what the comp plan is.
that's right, but if they're more involved and they do the survey
Honey,
and they,
this one's already involved.
well, I'm just saying.
Lucky they don't hand out tomatoes before they enter.
I mean, so, I would
This
like
is-
to be the positive person on this, that Steve is, that these guys are gonna get involved and be positive and make comments other than, we want streets and we want a new council.
And I think we need to get the word out more so that they start getting involved with the surveys.
Well, that's
Start
why I went out and made the
being proactive
comment
instead
that
of reactive.
the comp plan is not a list of goals, and what goals did we accomplish in 2006 and 2010? The comp plan's not a list of goals. And that's the first thing that they've gotta understand, is it's not a list of goals. That's not what this is. It's not. What they're after is a CIP if they want a list of goals.
Well, they don't understand
Right.
anything from the beginning, so
Yeah.
they have to be more involved in the whole process.
Well, yeah, but then they're going off what 15 other people said, because they heard this, but, and then down the line,
My
it's
advice
all
to them is
wrong.
stay off of Facebook.
Yes.
Civic
Yes.
engagement is so tough. And the reality is like, there's that, I don't know, 25-30% that you're not gonna convince. The goal is to find folks that like maybe don't know and are willing and open to learn and engage. And I know that sounds, it's easier said than done.
Mhm.
But that's why we go at it from so many different
That's
angles.
what, exactly, and that's refreshing to see that we're thinking, that you guys have thought that through and are willing to go that backdoor method.
For
and-
sure. Because how many people are going to go out of their way to fill out a survey and to find it themselves? Right? And so how do you really get this in front of folks, meet them where they are? You dig deep into the demographics and you find out whose voice is not being heard, and we find them, right? And there will always be Facebook commenters, and that's really hard. And it's honestly a very exhausting part of your job, and we know that.
Yes.
We know that.
Yeah, but at the same token, you've got to at least say, if we're gonna share it, that's out there, you've got to at least promote it and say,
Mhm.
we need your input, we need you to go look at this, we want you to be part of this.
That's why they're telling us to be the cheerleaders for this. So
That's
it's-
right.
It's really
Yeah.
important to tell the subdivisions we live in, our neighbors, our friends, there's a lot of good people that live here.
For
They're
sure.
just very uninformed about what's going on, the process,
Yes.
from start to finish.
And when you get to co-create the future of your community, even if not every decision is exactly what you want, if you feel like you've been heard, it makes a big difference.
That's right.
Agreed.
This is how they can be heard.
That's
So
right.
I think we just have to spread the word more too. I like the mailers too,
Mhm.
cause that's, a lot of old school people that I know, they're not on the computers
Right.
much, they're not on Facebook.
Right.
They'll read
Yes.
their mail. They'll see a pamphlet and say, oh, okay, I need to go on there and fill out
And
this.
it'll be in the
Well,
water
and
bill.
it'll be in the newsletter, it's going out, I think, in
Yeah.
June.
Right.
Okay.
And then we're gonna create something to kinda have up at the front desk for them to know when
And
they
that's
come
in
in
the
to pay
water bill,
bills.
right, the water bill,
Mhm.
yeah, okay.
Or trash, sewer, whatever, it's
Yep,
utility.
yep,
And we'll have folks that are able to come get paper copies of surveys too, right? If people don't wanna do it online, like we'll address that, cause that's not everyone wants to be online.
Well, some of them don't have
Exactly,
they don't have the internet, they don't have the eyesight to use the internet,
Right.
they don't.
right, exactly.
All right. Did I skip 5? Okay, no, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Okay, vision for the future of Spring Hill. What is a community vision? A community vision describes the future in idealistic and aspirational terms. The community vision cannot be realized by municipal government alone. It is a vision for the community as a whole. So everything that you all just said, involving everyone, letting them know there is opportunity out there to share what you feel like the future of your community should look like, and you all are doing that. You know, you're walking walking testament of doing it, and we'll get it done here in the comprehensive plan as well. In 20 years, Spring Hill, Kansas will be known for, is the first question. The second question was, when I think of Spring Hill in the future, I hope it will be a place where, and I'll share those answers for the first question with you all. Let me get this out of the way. Okay. First one I saw was bedroom community, streetscapes, community, trails, unity, families, and good schools. So, how do you all envision getting to those? Getting to those.
Well, I think community obviously is one that was emphasized amongst all these, is that we are growing, but we all still have that small town feel, and it still feels small town. Word gets around pretty quickly still, regardless of how fast we're growing. And I think we want to maintain that community feel. I don't know what that looks like, but I think that pretty much sums that up there.
Anybody else want to give details on their answers, or we get to move on?
Well, when you're thinking about if you want Spring Hill to be known for families, well, you got to have the good schools, and then you got to where they don't feel comfortable.
Yes.
So families
Safe.
or safe, yeah, that's another one that comes up that the word didn't make it up there, but it is. I mean, people have to feel safe in their homes, otherwise they don't want to raise kids in those environments.
I was gonna say, I think that there's, outside of trails and streetscapes, all those others are what Spring Hill is today, and what it would be nice if it was that still in 43. Because, yeah, the word still gets around, but if there's a family that's in need, it's taken care of. I mean, I don't care how negative we get in our comments, it's still taken care of. I mean, it's still a community, no matter how far spread out we are. We still take care of each other. We still care about each other. And it's nice to think that we could still be that in 43. That'd be awesome.
All right, I'll move on to the next one. Complete this sentence. When I think of Spring Hill in the future, I hope it will be a place where families want to live, families play, think outside the box, families grow. I won't read through all of these, but
Family is popping up a lot.
families all over. That's good.
And maybe if everybody's telling us small town feel, maybe that's what they're saying, is that we just feel like a family, that we still can feel like we're reaching out and touching family no matter what neighborhood we're in. I don't know.
Well, I mean, family is the bedrock of any community,
Yes.
and if you don't have families, you don't have a community very well, or at least not for very long. I mean, my kids are all grown now. They're all out of high school, but I hope that they want to come back here because they remember that it feels like family. It feels like home.
Attractive for graduates.
Mm-hmm. Hence, we need cost-effective housing
Yep.
Yes.
because people don't start there;
Right.
they grow into that. I mean, we grew into the house that we're in. We didn't start off being able to afford that. I mean, we built the house around us.
Housing
we grew.
options for young families.
Yeah,
For new grads and young families.
We're blessed all three of the kids are here. If they left here, that might be the reason we left here.
mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that you and Sharon feel the same way.
No, we're blessed.
No.
Cool.
Not as many trips as you made up to K-State.
So you all, a lot of you mentioned earlier that you want to maintain that small town feel. Do you feel that Spring Hill is growing pretty fast at this point?
Growing extremely fast.
one of
We-
the fastest
we were at
growing
one point named the
communities.
fastest growing
Yeah.
In the state, right?
in the state.
In the state.
And that was for 2 or 3 years in a row.
Okay. I had a friend that bought a house here in Spring Hill. He relocated from Overland Park to here.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's great. Not a bad thing, but definitely want to
That's good.
keep those characteristics that you want to have in the community, like having that small town feel for sure.
And I think that we are a welcoming community when new people, there was already a new teacher that put something out that said something about wanting new spirit wear because they were coming in as a new teacher. And I bet there was 20 people on there that said, we'll help you out. I mean, it's just, welcome here, let's help out. I mean, I just think as many negative comments that are made, it's still, we gotcha.
That's good.
As long as it's not in my backyard.
I do think this process though helps involving the community and allowing them to all come to the table and say, okay, well, where should it go?
Yeah.
They will understand as well, like, well, it has to go somewhere.
There are trade-offs to everything.
Yes. So involving them definitely will be a help.
Josh, you moved in with a small family. I mean, don't you think that keeping our elementary school smaller really helps with that too?
Yeah, and the school district does a great job. Is they have prototypes and they have a system set up. So every elementary school is 528 students. Every middle school is 528 students. So they have this feeder system set up. So I think as long as the district wants to maintain that, we'll always have those smaller schools within that kind of community feel. So we've got that going for us,
And I think we addressed that. I mean, we were full, don't get me wrong. Our kids were in a large elementary school for a while. But I think we addressed that fairly quickly for when we were full.
Yeah, and I think the big tipping factor here is going to be whenever second high school, when and if that ever comes online. That's Gardner's dealing with the same thing. They've added on that high school 4 or 5 times because they don't want to build a second one. Because
That's
I
40.
think that's communities view themselves as small town when you only have one high school. But when you get 2 high schools, then the community's divided.
Yeah, you get like a way to that.
Mhm.
That'll be that 43's problem.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing about that is that when you talk to the school board people, kind of close to some of them, so
Right.
they talk about wanting to not have the school be too big though, because once the school gets too big, it minimizes the opportunity
Right.
for all the kids.
Right.
If you go to that 6A school, there's only 5 players on the basketball team. If you have 2 5A schools, now you've got at least 10 players, And so there's that balancing act like you were talking about. There's always a trade-off.
It is a big deal for sports. That's
It's a huge deal for sports. You want kids to have the opportunity to participate, and I was fortunate that all our kids got to do lots of different sports because we were that 4A, 5A size school, and they got to do multiple sports, and I think it made them better athletes.
Agreed. Yeah.
So so there's that fine line. What do you keep it at one high school, or do you do 2 high schools or 3 high schools that are all smaller, or do you let them get all huge like Blue Valley has?
And I think, and just kind of add to that too, it's like we have basically right now, we have Webster Street. We have like one really central business district type of like where people go to shop, I guess you could say, is Webster. So do you focus, all of our development around that area? Or do you say we're going to have one up by 175th or, further north, one down south, and then you have 2 separate areas that people go to? So it's like, as we grow, do we just need to maintain our focus around Webster too? Or I've always said, like, what's our postcard moment here and where the parade goes type of thing? Do we focus on Webster? And because again, I think once you start to break out separate retail hubs, then you start to divide communities, like Olathe, I grew up in Olathe and my wife went to east, I went to north, we literally grew up on the opposite side of the tracks, Olathe's so big, they're nothing like this,
Mm-hmm.
So, just
See, and I
thoughts.
grew up in Paola with Square.
Yeah,
That's where the shopping was.
yeah, and that's
Right.
beautiful, right?
I mean,
Yeah,
and then we did get the
Then you got
shop
that
out
piece,
north
yeah.
with Sutherland's. But a couple of the shops didn't survive because everybody stayed up on the square.
Right. Yeah.
There's no easy answer for any of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what you guys are bringing up, I think, is so important. Like how intertwined this community is. You're talking about school districts, commercial centers, and it's so important to bring all of that into the conversation because when you're looking at growth projections and you talk about what your desire is for the future of your schools, for the future of your Main Street, right, or your sense of place, or sense of downtown, that all matters. And bringing folks in the business community and the school district together to have these conversations is so important because that's how you get buy-in and form coalitions.
Well, and we've talked historically, this town has struggled with that. Because when the town first started, it started at the city park.
Okay.
Then it moved downtown. And then it moved to Ogletree. And then it moved back downtown. So the town's already struggled with where is its identity and where is
Yeah.
its center of town.
Sure.
And we're still
We have-
struggling with
We
that.
have no postcard moment. I think our postcard moment is the water tower, which is like the most default moment, right?
And
Well-
then it moved to Webster Street. And then
But-
when we rebuilt Webster Street, we lost businesses. And then, I mean, so it's struggled. Spring Hill has struggled with that postcard spot.
But I think that we can, with the space between 223rd and that area and Webster, that can fill in and still be one continuous
Oh yeah,
area to go to.
yeah. And I totally.
I mean,
agree with that.
because there's space there for us to do something
Yeah.
with that. Because we've always had that problem with the donut hole where we're kind of a little here, a little there. But if we can bring it all together where it's going to be uniform, I think that we still have that opportunity to do that.
I do too. And that's where I'm curious with one of the statements I made is how can we clearly write that with this new comp plan that we all understand it, but that it continues that verbiage for the next planning commission and the next city council to where it's understood that that's our vision
Mm-hmm.
and that we can continue that vision so it's not, oh, in 8 years, we don't think that vision's right, that we can continue that path of growth to keep that going. And not, oh, in 8 years, we start all over and do something different.
Yeah, I just get the infrastructure in there and do it right. You know, it's like, cause yeah, there's a lot of opportunity on Webster. It's like,
Yes.
now it's like we get these tenants going and they're great tenants, but it's like, you know, we have one pad site up here right next to each other and the other one's pad
Right.
sites right here and we can't even walk from one to the other,
Yes.
you know, and I think we know where we're talking about, but it's like, why?
Yes.
But we have nothing that drives that, you know, it's just like, hey, if there's an open spot, take it. It's yours. So,
So how do we do that?
And then
How
we
do
have
fix
the
it?
old downtown area that we all.
well, if Pat was here, you know,
Except for Pat. But yeah, so the old
Pat's trying to kill it
downtown
off.
is
right.
Very historic area. And most of the community, I think, that should be maybe on the survey, wanna keep that, old downtown area.
Yeah,
Because the
like-
Bean and there's a dog store or something there and some old shops.
No.
What's the other thing
The,
that you?
the esports arena's down
Yeah,
there.
that.
Yeah, and the vault, you know,
Yeah.
the
The vault.
kids are just, kid had a birthday party there and loves it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's.
Ice creams.
Yeah,
got
Pop
Pops.
Sweet Shop,
Yeah.
Pops, yeah.
The quilt shop.
Bean.
Yeah, so that's I wanted to mention that.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about different areas.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what is great about that little area too is like, you know, my kids are 10 and 12 and I can just drop them off at the vault and they can go up and get, you know, a ice cream
Mhm.
or they can run across the bean and grab something if they want, you know, and they can just, and I feel like they're safe around there too. So, you know, safety is another probably big trigger word right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, better than walking the quick trip,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? From our,
On the railroad tracks.
Right, right. Good grief.
I know.
Well, we'll move forward and we'll dive into the SWOT analysis. Using Mentimeter, I'll give you all some time to answer those questions. Strength, weaknesses, and threats weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of Spring Hill.
And if you've already,
I don't think
you might have already done it. And if not, that's okay too.
Has anyone seen those, the SWAT, the strength?
My phone froze up. It's,
Okay.
Mine did not bring those up.
Yeah, I'm gonna start it right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm too far behind.
and then I think it's important for like the business owners that don't directly live in city limits to be able to, you know, make them feel like they can do the survey as well.
Yeah,
Because we got two partners, like in my business. One's in just right outside Spring Hill city limits, but they've owned the business here for who knows how long. But, and then kids grow up here, but one moved just like to Overland Park.
right.
So I think their opinions, even if it's not mine, but what they think should come in as well.
Get there.
Can we
Because,
just tell you these and just
Sure,
go?
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just,
Yeah, it's kind of like locking up on me.
No
Okay.
problem. Let's do it. But Mary, to what you said, like maybe you think about how you expand the definition of community in this
Right.
involvement. It's not just people who own a home here.
Mhm.
It's folks that have a business and,
right.
you know, yeah.
Who wants to start off with a strength?
I mean, it goes back to the strength in our community as a whole. I think we are, you know, here we are talking about saying we need to be more transparent, but I feel like we know what's going on within the community, like by foot. I don't know how to explain that, but,
The word gets around. so
Yeah,
everybody
I mean,
knows
it's-
what's going on.
Sometimes that's a good thing.
yeah.
Right.
Not all the
Sometimes,
time.
yeah.
Sometimes it's a good thing.
And the growth is real strong. A lot of people
Yeah.
are moving here. And
Yeah.
schools have grown
schools,
dramatically.
schools are strong.
Yeah, strength is schools. One of the strengths is definitely schools.
I think
Businesses that are here, I feel like are strong and
Right.
doing well. And
The community contributes to those businesses. Yeah.
one of my deals has been our proximity to Overland Park, Olathe, and the Metro, and then Hillsdale Lake. So it's like you have an amenity like Hillsdale Lake right on our boundary, but then we're close to downtown too. So you can be in the water 30 minutes, or you can be downtown in 30 minutes.
That's right, that's right. That is a good strength.
But I also think that as well with that, going along with that location, is the fact that we don't have all the amenities. I mean,
No.
as much as people
Yeah.
wanna say we want all those drive-through fast food restaurants, they also
you
like the
become a
fact
big
that they're coming
city.
home to the country,
Right.
the country that has got mile after mile of housing, because they're coming out here and they can still see the night sky.
Right.
That's right.
So however you can, I mean, yes, we are still rural with as many houses as we have. And as much as they say we want all this stuff, they still want that small town and we're still giving it.
We just got a stoplight this year.
But we
Yeah.
did give stoplight with
Our
you
first stoplight was this year,
Yeah.
Spring Hill. That sounds like a big deal, or doesn't sound like
Well,
a
and I
big deal,
don't
but
know,
it,
I think we might be leasing that too from KDOT.
no,
It might be because I don't even know if we have.
We're not operating it.
Yeah, we're not taking care of
We're
it
not
all, so
operating
I
it.
think it's a contract thing. But we'll claim
We
it.
don't have city people
We're
operating.
big time now.
yeah.
We got
Big
street.
time.
We got traffic.
Yeah, I came from Kansas City. That's not, no.
We got traffic lights.
Traffic lights and noise pollution and I tell you, I don't want all of that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a
I'd rather
strict.
just drive
Right.
to Olathe or whatever, but we were down KCK and no. It's good. I am fine without a McDonald's or every 20 feet.
Right.
Any
I
other?
think the strength is that we still have a tight-knit community. I mean,
That's what
it's,
you're saying, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say one of our strengths is the fall festival.
well, I didn't wanna, I kinda
well,
wanted
I-
to say that, but I didn't.
Well, but I think it is because it
Right.
draws everybody together still.
What, I'm sorry, what did you say?
Fall
It's the
Festival.
Spring Hill Fall Festival.
Okay.
It has been, Fall Festival started after the Johnson County Fair left Spring Hill. And it's been around, the J.C.'s took it over when the Fall Festival left or when the fair left. And then when the J.C.'s disbanded, we created the Spring Hill Fall Festival Board. And we're doing well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's a parade.
It's, it's
It's
a
a good time.
Park there.
It's a big deal
And where do you all host that?
in September.
Where at in the city?
Webster.
Oh,
Down Webster, right down Webster.
It's at the city park. We used to do it downtown. Well, I mean, it's been all over town. It's been all over town, but it's, the parade's down through Webster Street. We
Mhm.
fortunately can still block off Webster Street. The parade goes downtown. We have stuff in the park on Saturday and Sunday.
Have
we
stuff
started-
downtown on part of it. We have some of it's
Oh,
at the
that's
ball field. Some of it, I mean, it's kind of spread out now because we couldn't. It's gotten so big we couldn't do it in one location now.
Okay.
But
Folks
with,
love
between
coming together to like celebrate.
yeah,
We've done all kinds of different things. We've
Yeah.
had frog jumping contests, and we've had crazy leg contests, and we've had car shows, and we've had quilt shows, and we've had bands, and we've had horse pulls, and I mean, so it just depends on what group of people is running it and what kind of people, what different activities we can get together. The last 2 or 3 years, we've put a big screen up in the park and watched the Chiefs football game on Sunday.
So fun.
I mean, it just depends on who's doing what and what is happening in the year it's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
It's it's
We're gonna bring
pretty,
the fall festival board into this
mm-hmm.
effort.
Oh, yeah.
there's.
Oh, that'd be good.
It's on the stakeholder list.
Awesome.
Awesome.
I mean, one of them's the president of it right now is a business owner and is on the chamber, so.
Check, check, check.
And he's one of the younger ones.
Cool.
Can I offer something?
Yes.
Sure.
One of your strengths that you have in Spring Hill, the reason why we moved here 33 years ago, it was only 8 miles from the hospital. Look how big that has gotten.
Yes, that's true.
And what else do you have
Hospital
in Johnson
flexibility.
County? Some of the finest firefighters and paramedics that you can get.
That's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my aunt used to say if you live in Johnson County and you get sick, they call out the Marines as well as the paramedics.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those are very good strengths for Spring Hill.
And it's not just the one hospital. We now have Advent Health over off of 69 Highway, and we have Olathe Medical Center in Olathe and in Paola. So depending on which side of Spring Hill you're on,
Yes.
I mean, we're kind of, we got 3 different hospitals surrounding us.
Yes, yes.
That's great.
But I'm a little prejudiced to Olathe.
I understand.
I worked there for 18 years.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
It's okay.
But it is true, and that's a big, huge selling point. The location is, you're coming back out to the night sky,
Right.
but, I mean, in 7 minutes, you can be
Yes.
in Paola, or you can be in Olathe.
You can go to
Or
state
you
yard
can be to the
hospital.
other, or you can be to the other highway.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great, great location. It is a great location. I don't know.
Not of that, I like the name. Spring Hill.
Yeah.
Well, when we were looking to come here from Fort Riley, he was getting out of the army
Mm-hmm.
after 21 years. And we looked on the map and I said, Spring Hill, and I looked it up, said you had 3,500 people, and I said, that's where we're going.
We moved
Just
into
left
town
St.
when there was
George.
1,200.
We just left St. George, was at that time was a registered ghost town. Now, when I went back 5 years ago, I couldn't believe the growth.
Yes.
It's really grown. So this is what you gotta think about, and I like Spring Hill. I'm glad to see what we're doing here.
We still have founding fathers families here. I mean, some of your oldest
Yes.
families are still, their generations are still here. Yeah, I think that speaks to what Troy was saying. We want our kids to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, like I said, thankfully our 2 oldest have. And then it's nice to know that their generations are still coming back.
Sure. So how do we connect, right, with maybe some of the high school seniors, some high school juniors, get some representatives of those folks on the steering committee? Like, what do you guys want? What would make you come back here after college?
I'll get it. I'm at the
Love
high
that.
school. I'll get it. I'll get it.
Any other additions to strengths?
That isn't enough.
Got a lot. I would add pride. With
Pride,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's kind of
Father's
the
Day.
overarching theme. That's so true.
Yeah.
I like the phrase "night sky." I put that down. I feel like that kind of captures the small town feel that people want. Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to weaknesses.
First one everybody's gonna tell you is the streets.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And no sidewalks.
And to that point, like like Josh and I live 5.5 miles from here. It seems like disconnected.
Yeah,
right?
lack of connectivity.
Lack of connectivity we're right next to the high school,
Uh-huh.
but it's kind of lack of, sometimes we feel like we're on an island out there.
Yes.
We're separated by the railroad.
The closest
We got a
thing-
railroad that runs north-south, and that's a big separator.
Separated by that
Yeah, it's
roundabout.
fine to drive
Yeah.
a quick trip, so we're separated from the community, we feel like sometimes, Webster's far away.
Mm-hmm.
There's other subdivisions too like that,
Mhm.
right? Prairie Ridge and some
Mhm.
others, a lot of them, the new ones,
Mm-hmm.
so that's one of the weaknesses.
Well, and when we develop to the east, it's gonna be even more, well, Prairie Ridge and whatever we go across, and
Another weakness we have is,
if we go to Bucyrus, it's gonna be the same thing.
Well, if you just even go west of 169.
Right,
So one of the weaknesses is natural boundaries.
Yeah.
right.
Because we have a railroad track on one side, we have a major highway on the other side, and we do have at least on 199th Street, we have a bridge across the railroad tracks. We do not have, and down at 223rd, we have a bridge across the highway. But we need to have one more of each of those at each end of town,
Right.
Or maybe 3.
Like
Places.
gateways and
Yeah,
shores.
yeah,
and part of the thing we struggle with a lot here is sidewalk connectivity.
hmm
We kind of require it now at the new subdivisions,
It's my soapbox,
Okay.
we do not have sidewalks.
but the old town
Does
is
not.
still struggling with safety for lack of sidewalks.
Okay.
Well, and so lack of sidewalks is lack of storm sewer, lack of curbs, lack of sidewalks. All 3 of those go together. You solve those 3. You all 3 of those go in together, or they should go in together. We have solved the internet issue, or we're in the process of solving the internet issue because we now have fiber in town,
That's right.
and that's a huge thing because it used to be you couldn't get any internet service down here. I mean, it was you had your high speed dial up. I mean, that was about it. So we've come a long ways just in the last 5 years in that.
Two,
You're right.
Well, 2, yeah.
I think there's a weakness too is there's a lack of identity downtown or like down Webster, I guess you could say. Like, I think there's opportunities coming up, but there's opportunity for like street lamps, that have some
Yes.
character, that add consistency instead of random metal building here, random metal building here, house, this. It's just like we have no identity.
and and I think that's like the streetscape, in our
Yeah.
last comp plan, they brought in these gorgeous pictures that have amazing streetscape for Webster and the city park. There's no budget for it, so
Right.
it's not happening.
Yeah, it's like how do we bake those images into our plan and so it works?
Yes.
It was gorgeous, it was amazing.
Yeah, it was. It was very pretty.
Go for it.
It was pretty.
Where did they go?
So those darn little fairies at night. never
I
go
know.
back. That wizard wand didn't get left.
Infrastructure. Any additions to weaknesses?
Going back to strengths, we do have a good sewer system.
Okay.
We have I should say expansive sewer system. Our sanitary sewer system is actually rather large considering the population that we have. When they built it, they did take into account a lot of growth in the future, and so that's that's why we have these subdivisions that are so spread out, because there's there was sanitary sewer that they could connect to,
Yeah.
but those spots haven't filled in yet in between, and they will.
When the land.
But that's a strength because we don't have to go in and put that in already.
Have the-
Yeah.
It's already,
Yeah.
that infrastructure is already there.
So what's the infill plan then, right? How do you
Right.
make it
Correct.
consistent? Yeah. I think that's an opportunity, right? Like, how do you-
That falls
Absolutely, it's an
into that.
opportunity, yeah.
Infill.
Sorry, I wasn't looking at your next one.
No, that's great.
I did have one question for you all for the weaknesses. You mentioned that they created some really nice renderings for you on Webster. Do the design requirements for the city follow that, or are they similar? Do they align with the renderings that were created?
I think it's just more of what Josh was saying, it was just the street lamps and the plantings and it was the same thing with City Park. It's just, there's no budget to put in.
No budget.
And I think they even did the street lamps downtown.
Okay.
And it's just, you know,
Because those are amenities that would have to be put in by the city. Those wouldn't, that's
They're
not
on
the,
developer.
that's not, yeah, that's not the housing, that's not the houses that are there. That's gonna have to be, the city's gonna have to come in and say,
Right.
we want to beautify this street.
Yes.
yeah, there's no beautification budget. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, and if the developers aren't seeing public investment in that, why would they
Right.
do it
Mhm.
on their
Yes.
own?
Right.
Or like, yeah, if we just had some sort of materials palette, you know, that developers almost had to use.
Yeah.
So there's certain fixtures they had to use outside of buildings, so not even the city's paying for it, but you
Mhm.
know, it's like, you have these 5 options for fixtures and then visiting the design standards, like, you know,
Right in the.
20% of your facades gotta be block or this or that, you know?
Yeah.
and-
Yeah,
So
just
that-
like what we were talking about last
Yeah.
meeting with everything, the lighting and then the
Yeah,
wainscoting and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
that's
Exactly.
true.
So maybe redefining some of the building code.
yeah, I think we definitely have to, because I think the opportunity here now is that we have Olathe and Overland Park just north of us, and the development and sprawl of them is coming our way. We can feel it. I mean, with all the development that's coming down south here, and I think our kind of sense of urgency on this board is getting this plan done so we can capture that development and do it right.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you know, you have the Blue Hawk area on 159th, that's all filling out right now, and everything. If you go down 175th right now, all the work that's being down there, that's all sprawling towards us, and we know it's coming for us. And I think we will just want to get our standards to where they need to be so that we don't get cheapened out on some of our stuff. Because I think there's opportunity to up our game and up our design standards.
Yeah.
Because we see that sprawl coming down.
Well, and this is like really a cheap way of identifying, but along what he's saying, identifying marker, when you look at Lacine, Kansas, Lacine is known as, Lacine is the swan,
Uh-huh.
so all of their businesses put out swans. So if we could find 1, 2, or 3 things, and then it just started identifying that that's the Spring Hill mark,
Branding.
Branding.
yeah.
The chamber's been trying to figure out our brand for a long time. Seriously, I mean, we've had several conversations about it.
Right, I mean,
Because we don't have one thing that really identifies us. I mean, the schools have the
Broncos,
horses, the
right,
Broncos and the Mustangs and all that, we do have that. But we don't have,
that's the schools.
that's the schools, right, that's not the city, and so the city has struggled with what our brand is.
Right, but when Josh brought that up, that was when it tripped him down that, Lacine is the swan, and so that's what, it's like, yeah, if we could come up with something that was, you know, and if it goes back in, maybe we try to find something that, sticking with his light, that goes back into our, motto, Spring Hill's lighting the way, and it's a light, we find, I don't know, I'm just being
Yeah.
cutesy, but what, you know what I'm trying to say?
Right. Right.
Okay.
And then, so like, there's the opportunity for the development. I think the other one kind of touches on with our locations, there opportunity for like a trail system that ties into like maybe what Mark's got going on. So with the amenity of Hillsdale just down south and the city just north of us, we're in between. I think if we do a trail system right, you can capture a lot of that foot traffic right there and kind of really show off, and we can, you know, Spring Hill can have a crazy flex in terms of design, and like as people pass through our area, our community, as they head to Hillsdale or back up to the cities, they'll be like, wow, Spring Hill's really nice when you bike through there.
And
So I
it-
think there's that opportunity.
Absolutely, and consistently, trails have been one of the top things that people want.
Okay.
I mean, when the rec commission, when we did that, survey, last year or year before, whatever.
Probably 2 years now.
It's probably 2 years ago now. The top thing, and the previous 5 years and the previous 10 years before that, it's always been trails. Trails and walking paths, that's what's lacking here.
Well, and along with that, it was even just exercise stations along the way, or the.
We do have a
middle
disc golf,
school
yeah.
the middle school's got a disc golf, but even things that they could just stop and do along the way.
Right.
And showcasing that is the way to do,
Mm-hmm.
showcasing Spring Hill is the way to do that along the
I
way.
mean, we have Veterans Park, but I can't get there unless I want to get in my car and drive.
Right,
Mhm.
exactly,
I mean, it's a beautiful park, but
it's gorgeous.
just don't have the out. I mean,
Mhm.
just don't go because
Mhm.
it's out of my way. There's
Right.
no way to get there. It's 169 is the barrier
Mm-hmm.
for us there. So
Again, if we had that overpass, how wonderful would that be?
can you guys do that?
It's only 40 or 50 million.
yeah.
So you're gonna leave your wizard wand, right?
Yeah.
You can borrow my hammer.
Yeah.
Spencer said he got it.
Yeah, I can pitch in a little bit.
Oh, awesome.
Has it had around? Yeah.
I think that answers a lot of the questions. It was what opportunities do community members need to capitalize on in the next 5 years? I think that
Yeah.
That
The sense
addresses a lot of
urgency
it.
you talked about, I think, really is captured in your discussion about development standards and being proactive, not reactive.
What opportunities do community members need? Okay, we did that one. On to the next. What are some threats and challenges that Spring Hill will face over the next 5 years?
Being overrun by Olathe.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, I mean,
Or Overland Park.
well, yeah, on the east side, Overland Park, in the middle, I mean, it's directly north of us is Olathe, to the west is Gardner.
Mm.
I mean, I don't see a lot of threat from Palo right now.
Yeah,
But-
they're over the park. They're coming for us.
Oh yeah, there's no, they're pushing hard.
Olathe and Overland Park are both, those are the threats.
In terms of like pushing up against the boundary, in terms of
And it was pushing the boundary to us, where we are currently, not us pushing out to meet
right,
them.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's like no differentiation. I guess is maybe that what you're saying between Olathe and Spring Hill or Overland Park and Spring Hill, it all just kind of
Well, if you talk to the people that live on the very north end of Spring Hill School District, most of them, when they moved in, didn't even realize it was a different school district.
interesting. Okay.
They moved in and they thought they were part of the Olathe School District, then all of a sudden they find out with their taxes and stuff, they say, oh, our kids are going south. They're not, the school's right over there across the street. How come our kids aren't going to school there? I mean, they literally did not know that they had changed school districts because they crossed the line.
So it kind of goes back to what you were saying too about gateways and boundaries and how do you differentiate and make, your place within a
Mhm.
sprawling southern Johnson County.
And Overland Park is east, they're gonna start wanting the land to move in.
Well, they're going down 69 Highway, and then they're gonna start pushing west after they get down, because they're already down to 199th Street. And so they'll start pushing,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
and then they're gonna start pushing west. You can just see, you can see the development and how it's going.
Yeah, and just look at where Woodland Spring is, it's in Olathe, it's a Spring Hill School District, it's on 167th and what, Ridgeview, is that about right?
Yeah, somewhere right there, yeah.
But it's like way up there. right?
Is the
Not
address of
Spring
it
Hill.
in Olathe?
Yeah,
Yes,
With the Spring Hill School?
yes.
right.
Yeah,
That's
the
what
district
we-
overlaps up in the lake though.
It's just alright.
Yeah,
But I
that
think-
goes through the planning up there.
Interesting.
But now, the new middle school, though, will bring some of those kids to the middle school where.
So I think too the threat is development without having like a north arrow, if you could say too,
Mhm.
kind of like what we're looking for. Our plan, no one up here is in love with our current plan, and the threat is just us sitting on our hands, nothing getting done, and then development continues to happen. Community comes to us and says, "You guys aren't listening to us," but we're like, "We've got a plan we're following," and
Right.
That's so
So.
true.
so this needs to get done.
Right.
What your North Star?
Yeah.
And I think that we need a challenge, I don't know, maybe it's not a challenge, but I think that we need to start being able to think outside of the box and what we need to put into the plans as to what and I mean literally like thinking outside of the box. What direction do we need to go? What things do we need to start thinking of putting in for the future of where livability and everything's happening and going? You know, like I was listening on the radio today and they said that there's this big movement to take all the AM radio stations away. Well, but yet you can't, and they're out of the cars, you know, they don't want any AM stations. Well, you can't do that because that's a lot of where national weather stations come from, and that's that's where the electronic cars are going, and that you can't do that with the way the electronic cars are coming out. So, I mean, so what, and having the electronic stations, plug-in stations, so how many, what do we need to start looking at with that?
Yes.
So what else do we need to look at futuristic-wise that we need to start thinking outside the box that needs to be thought of to go in here?
Yep.
And I honestly don't know. I mean, what do we need? Where else do we need to be thinking down the road? You know, it used to be we need to be conserving water. People need to start putting in more water, rain barrels. Well,
Right.
where else do we need to go? Where else do our thoughts need to?
That's, I think, a huge part of what we do as well, strategic foresight. So we look at future trends based on growth projections, based on what we're seeing from comparable communities around the area, and bring these things to you guys. Like, do you want to consider an electronic vehicle charging system as part, right? Like, do you want to talk about different aspects of livability, walkability? We kind of bring all the future trends, cross-reference those to what you're seeing in your community, and you guys get to decide. Like, how, knowing that this is what's coming, right, most likely, how do you respond?
So it's a hard thing to think about in 20 years what the technology is going to take us to.
Exactly. And you do the best you can with what you know. You try to be really forward thinking. But I think having those North Stars, having those guiding principles, allows you to be focused but flexible, right? And like, how do you adapt to what's coming while still maintaining the values of your community? Because that's, I mean, no one can predict the future.
Right, right.
But you can do the best you can to align your actions with what your community wants and what you know is coming. It's just part of living in the United States. Easy, right?
20 years we'll probably have electric buses. What? It's in the next 20 years we'll probably have electric buses, school
Right.
buses. I mean, it was at the National School Board deal, they had electric buses there and they were talking about electrifying the fleets and stuff and what that's gonna look like.
75% of the jobs will be replaced by AI.
AI. We are having that
Oh my God,
conversation
I was
all
hearing
the
so-
time.
Yeah.
I was hearing so many things about all the AI
It's
stuff.
wild.
That's
Yeah.
scary.
It is.
It's very scary.
You guys might get replaced by AI.
My,
Yeah, any?
How about it?
That AI
It
stuff
can-
is becoming.
Chat
They
GPT
couldn't be
can
as
just do your
humorous.
job.
that's right.
They can replace me on our public
Yeah,
hearing.
but that, I mean, we can start putting it in.
Then you don't have to worry about anybody saying anything wrong, Spencer. You won't have your heart attack
I
out
think,
there.
you know what, I think AI still finds a way to get on Facebook and make life hard. I appreciate it.
It's, the kids were sitting in class last week doing AI stuff, and I'm like, you need to get off of it because it's freaking me out.
Right.
You need to get off. Get off. I don't like, and then I listen to a talk show and you get off of it. I don't want.
I don't like it. It scares me. I don't
It
have.
scares the crap out
I
of me.
don't have Facebook. I don't watch AI stuff. Whatever. Like I don't like robots. Like
You're like
Oh,
me,
it's
I don't-
scary. I
Nice.
don't want any part of it.
I like it at McDonald's because they don't mess up my order when I'm ordering.
I will
see, I'm
say
the opposite.
that is-
That's the only one. That's it.
I don't
Beneficial.
like it there though.
Oh, it scared the crap out
If
of me.
you
when
customize
they
your
said
meal,
they
you always get it
mentioned
wrong.
Really? I've never
Yeah.
had that. I don't know.
So is that a no on autonomous lanes in Spring Hill? I'm just
Our street lights freaks me out.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's newfangled
I know.
shit.
What am I supposed to do here?
all right. Any other additions to challenges or weaknesses that you might face or threats you might face in the next 5 years?
sidewalks. I want my sidewalks.
Challenges, infrastructure funding, maybe.
I don't know if they do. I do.
It's always, It's
And the
always
threat
been
is
Fundy.
if Cindy, if we don't get sidewalks.
It
Cindy's
is.
the threat.
It's
if we
what
don't have
Cindy will do.
sidewalks.
You haven't even been here long enough to hear the soapboxes.
Oh, man.
No, that's what the threat is. I'm gonna have to hear it someday. Let's put him in.
Yeah.
Trust me, Rhonda wasn't quite sure how to walk out of here when she was done that night. 'Cause
Yeah.
I was like, I want my sidewalks.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Put Cindy under strengths.
Yeah. Strengths and weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
So, Aaron, do you want to close this one? Or?
Sure, yeah. We
Future
touched on this, I
thinking.
won't go through every slide, but this is just kind of highlighting how we do strategic foresight. So we bring in local, regional, national trends. We do a market analysis. What that really looks at is Spring Hill's unique position in the metro area in terms of economic opportunity, recreational opportunities, and we mesh that all together with current trends in development, demand, public health, innovative technologies, if you want to call them innovative, to figure out what do you do to meet the needs and to capitalize on your unique strengths. So that's a huge part of this process, because we need some expert opinion on this, right? So we seek that out to help inform. I also think it's really crucial, and this is teeny text, and I'm not expecting you to read it, but how do you make this compelling to folks? How do you use it? How do you use all the data and tell a story? So what we really like to do is break this all down into more of generational profiles. So this is some of the material that we'll be using as we engage with the public to kind of explain who all lives here, what are some of their characteristics, what do they want, what do they need, humanize it, rather than just give people numbers or statistics, really try to engage from a more personal level.
Not more recently used this generation profiles with the city of DeSoto, helping them out with planning for future housing and
Mm-hmm.
some needs that every generation might need, and very helpful.
I think it can really help. We've seen it be effective in talking specifically about multifamily. Because you can look at the folks, the spread of housing life cycle of who could utilize a multifamily. And it's not just a massive apartment complex, right? Maybe it's a duplex for somebody that wants to age in place, but they don't want to do all of the maintenance of a large home. They want to move out and downsize and give that home to a young family that's moving in to attend the schools. And I think if you can paint the picture for folks of who needs what in a housing life cycle, it can make it more personal, and it gets away from kind of polarizing assumptions and down to more, how do we meet the needs of the individuals in our community at all income levels, at all stages of life. And if you make that into a story, it can sometimes be easier for folks to comprehend. Well, thank you. I really, really appreciate y'all's participation in this, and I hope that we helped answer some questions about the process and the approach, but please, if there's more, we have all the time that you need us for. And lots of desserts that nobody's eating.
I'll get one for the road.
All right, good. Take them home to kids, too.
A1 already.
Okay, good.
Now, is that presentation on our website? Or what you just
It is not right now, but we can,
did? Can we, can the planning commission members get a copy?
oh, absolutely.
Amy,
Yeah, no problem.
Amy, do we need to sign the workshop form?
No, it was very well
Oh.
done, that's why I'm gonna.
Okay, yeah, no, please.
Oh.
I don't have it.
Oh, no, Cindy. Cindy.
What'd you do?
Cindy, you gonna pass
You
it
wrote all
around?
over it, didn't you?
Does anybody take?
Maybe,
All right.
got my notes on it.
My grocery list.
Do we have anything else to discuss?
Can we have a new copy
Maybe
of
it's got
that?
my notes on it.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Yes, thank
Like,
you
this
very
is
much.
exciting. I
Yes,
think
it is.
that sums us up, I think, up there.
Yeah.
I hope you got a good idea of our thoughts and what we're thinking.
No, this was really, really helpful.
That was more important.
Okay, I'll send that.
Oh, it was more important.
She was missing.
I'll make a copy of
I know.
that. Or it can go in the file. I'll have it safe and sound with me.
Then just make a copy of the front, give her the back, or the original.
How's
You know
your
me, and I just don't make notes.
grocery list on the back?
Uh-huh.
Same way.
All right, thank you all for coming.
Thank you, guys.
Officially adjourned.